All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome to our 26th of March Mercury Bay Community Board meeting. I'd just like to quickly ask Bess if you'd like to welcome us to the Karakia.
Karakia. Tū taua mai ki runga, tū taua mai ki raro, tū taua mai ki roto, tū taua mai ki waho. Kia tau ai te Māori tū, te Māori ora. Ki runga ia tātou katoa. Come forward from above, from below, and within the environment, vitality and well-being, brought together in harmony. Te hei Māori ora. Kia ora.
Thank you, Bess. Now, with regards to apologies, I just have one, which is from the Chair, Chrissy Robertson, and we've got Caroline Hodman, Community Board Member online. So may I just have a mover and a seconder?
Yes.
Thank you, Deli and John. All those in favour?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Carried. Right, public forum. I've got a couple of names here, which is very exciting. Now, I just want to remind everybody that this meeting is recorded and you will be recorded. You do have 5 minutes to address the board, and the board may ask questions of you to clarify. And first, I would like to invite Paul Hopkins.
Oh, yeah.
Quickly. Oh,
Am I up on the clock already?
oh, yeah, I've got to find a timer. Hang on. Thanks, Paul. Welcome.
Welcome. Yeah, thank you very much. Councillors. Just wanted to come in and talk about things Cook's Beach. I put in a few RFSs a while back, and I'd have to say with gratitude that 2 of them have been done after initial feedback. So very grateful for that. Sue Costello and her team are doing really well with the tennis courts and the hitting area, basketball court, and Sue's let us know that in April at some stage we will have the flexi pave going on. So it will be a great addition to the area and for the community. Strenathan Roading has contacted me and said he's going to keep us informed of the roading measures that are going to be coming in. We don't have a timeline on that, but very grateful for him to let us know, and I'm sure that will happen. Haven't seen anything with toilet plans, so I haven't looked at the group today. It's on it. Okay. Is there any plan, like photographs or plan?
Stick around for the CapEx report.
That's great. Security cameras, looks as if it's taking a bit of time to get through the process. So I'd like to say to our councillors and community board members that putting a bit of pressure on the hierarchy to get some sort of framework around how they approach security cameras would be really, really good. It's been a long time now that other areas have got into it, and even Matarangi, they're still having problems with theirs. So I'd like to see some actual go forward on that, and because it's been indicated to me that Heather has said, the time frames around getting a reports done, etc. I can't see why it's so time consuming. It must be just about a what do they call those things? A template that you can throw out there virtually and just change the name of the roads in a lot of cases. And I know that, we've got road traffic management, but in our case, it's not that bad. So I'd really like to see some go forward on that. And I don't think the community should have to wait for months and months and months just to get approval to put these cameras in. It's taking too long. Just as head of the Ratepayers Association of Mercury Bay South, just like to thank the the community board and councillors for the progress that we've had in the community lately with the tennis courts. I know that we've wanted to, or clubs wanted to shift it over, but it got done pretty quickly. And the likes of the new toilets that are going in, it's not before time in my view, but very grateful for the action that's taken place. So yeah, thank you all, much appreciated.
Valid job, only a minute 30.
Oh,
Right, before we disappear, I'll just see if there's any questions. Deli?
Can I comment? Am I not allowed to comment?
No, you may ask a question for clarification.
Oh, when was the last time you talked to Mike Bedford at Matarani? Because I understand his cameras are now fully operational after a hell of a journey, and since they've been in, they haven't had one instance of vandalism.
right. That's
Today.
I talked.
That was a question that was,
Yeah.
yeah.
I've talked to Mike a couple of times, and I think the last time was probably in January, and he was still battling a bit then, I think. And I've been away for a month.
He's all good.
That's great.
No vandalism.
Great.
All right. And I guess I have an oddly shaped question as well. Were you aware that council are creating a policy around these, and that policy is intended to make this process, security cameras I mean, easier? So we will certainly internally be asking some questions and following up around that policy.
Glacial process.
Yeah.
It has been in train for some time, but just so you're aware that there is a policy and some work has been done.
Okay.
All right.
Here we go.
Thank you. Thanks for coming to see us.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
A happy boy.
Oh, yeah.
So this is a new.
And if you wanted to learn more about those toilets and see the images, we will be talking about it in today's CapEx report.
And if you can't stay, I'm sure we could probably send through those images.
Yeah, that'd be brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, depending on when it's.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
And next I'd like to invite Rob Davis. Hi, Rob. I believe it's the first time you've come to address the board. So just a reminder, you've got 5 minutes, and you may stand or you may sit. It's entirely up to you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Morning, members. My name's Rob Davis, long-term local, not as long as some. Few issues going on over years that need to be addressed quite importantly. I submitted an article into the local paper published yesterday, which is, I don't know if anyone's read it as yet. It's a good read. I did very well. The flaws in the TCDC system. Now, for a number of years, there's been people complaining how frustrating it can be in trying to get consents, basically doing business in Mercury Bay. Trying to do something good can in turn cost a lot of money. It's come to a head for me recently with our business down in Lee Street. Common knowledge with areas around town that are residential / commercial, and fairly simple from a historical view to simply set up business and go forward. Looking at the TCDC website, trying to navigate through there as to the requirements is a logistical nightmare. The planning program scenario is one that is very difficult to read. To reinforce that, when I had a meeting with the area manager a couple of weeks ago and we jumped online to navigate through, it was not a success, and the information is you need to go to a planner to work out what you need to plan. So therefore, you've got to spend money before you can work out what you're doing. Unfortunately, it adds up to a fair whack of money because the process takes considerable time backwards and forth. So what I'm here to do is I'm here to push for council to make our system a bit more user-friendly, a lot more user-friendly, in fact. There's the Resource Management Act that's being changed currently, I do believe. But unfortunately in our council at present, logics, common sense doesn't seem to prevail. I thought I'd done a bit of due diligence. I thought I was on the right page. Apparently not. We had a visit in our business. It was not pleasant. It was a little bit rude. And when I contacted the gentleman that had done the visit to say, hey, look, it's my business, I'm the one you need to talk to. Well, unfortunately, I'm not the property owner, so you can't talk to me. So that's frustrating because I'm trying to work out where I went wrong. And speaking to a fair amount of locals, there's a lot of headaches around town. A lot of headaches around town and money being spent to no avail. The current system that we've got, someone can make a complaint, that can tie you up, it can make your business fail. Whether it's residential or commercial, someone lays a complaint, council needs to act on it. You're not notified who made the complaint, so you've got no idea what standing is behind it. You've got no, well, I've had no process to actually question and work through to try and come to a solution. I've been on a little bit of a process trying to work out what's the right procedure to follow. You need to go and do an RFS. You do one. You want to ask another question, go back to another RFS. You go around in circles, quite frustrating. So I sent one out there and I've asked a question, are all commercial operations in Whitianga Town Centre compliant with council? Basically the reply is it's too broad and requires substantial research to answer. Is council going to visit all businesses in Whitianga Town Centre to ensure buildings compliant? Council does not usually visit every business, and it carries on. Who do I speak to about planning concerns in Whitianga? Who gave the consent? Well, what process is in place? Again, RFS. Jump on there, ask a question, start the process, go around in circles.
That's your time, Rob. Thank you.
Okay, I'll wrap that up with I'm here to make a change. I'm here to try and make life a lot more easy and a lot more bearable for general Joe public and make it so we, the public, can work with the council as one. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Hang on, before you disappear, I just need to ask the board if they have any questions of you. You might, do you want to sit down for Q&A? They may be none. No questions. All right. So I guess I've just got one, and you know, there's an announcement about the RMA yesterday, and that is obviously central government driven. Have you taken up your concerns with the local MP as well?
I'm working.
The councils have to follow.
Yeah, it's working through, basically starting at the bottom and working up.
Okay.
Because where does the problem lie? And it's trying to work through from the bottom, work up, work along, and follow all due process as to what's required.
Okay, thanks, Rob. Thanks for making time. Does anyone else have any questions? No? All right, thank you. The next person I'd like to invite is Steve Lloyd.
Steve. Thank you, Madam Chairman and councillors. I'm here just to bring up the issue again of grass cart, which had been raised nearly 3 years ago. In fact, 2 of the present councillors were on the community board then. We've got a total new community board since then, and we're still waiting for action. It's been made public at our AGM, the Ratepayers Association, which I'm on the committee, in January this year. The amount of money, I have a back of the envelope calculation of what was involved. I've discussed that with certain councillors who are aware of that. We're still waiting to see if there's any progress, if that's the word. on grass carp being placed in there, weed cutting and spraying is not proving to be effective. It's a short-term fix. It's expensive short-term fix. So in the interests of getting something done, I don't want to go on the soapbox. I've said it several times about the grass carp. There's a lot of miscommunication out there for the general public. They get confused with koi carp. But again, thanks to John, he's been helping me out on this. But we'd like to see some sort of positive action pretty soon, if that's all possible. I was dealing with staff, but the staff sort of disappeared into the ether a bit, and I've gone back through the process, through initially by the CEO and then back down through the councillors. So I just urge this community board and the councillors sit around the table, can we get some action done quickly? There's a lot of activities on that lake. It's zoned, I understand, passive recreation. Kids go out there paddling kayaks, as a simple example. They get their paddles caught under the weed and it can easily tip them in and they can get tangled up. This has been brought to the start years ago and the answer was we'll put up no swimming signs around. We don't think that's the answer. We just would like to get some sort of action going, and I'd call on the councillors, John Daly and Eureka, if you could push that through as quickly as possible. And you've been to the meeting, you've heard the man speak at who produces the fish as to what's involved and the safeguards involved and the process. So we just like to push that. The important thing too, when we talk about grass carp, is the back lake, which is a forebay, is an urgent need of desludging. So NIWA came through and did a report, as you guys are aware, the week after Easter last year. That report basically said the back lake, which is we're talking a stormwater detention system, should have a designed depth holding ability of about 2 metres. It's 1 hectare an area. It's sludged up to the point of 1 metre. So I'm not a drainage expert, but one would wonder how much that lack of capacity during Gabriel impacted on the rest of the surface flooding around Cook's Beach. So contractors started in December last year, scrape and work on that, the forebay. The forebay collects the initial sediment runoff from the farmland up the back, and it should be have a drainage system or like a sump. The mini version is a roadside sump, but it should have a big catchment facility there, and it stops the nutrient-rich waters flowing into the rest of the system, which in turn is making the weed just grow out of control. So it's not rocket science. If I've worked it out, anyone can. And we just need to get that forebay cleaned up. There are access issues, admittedly, for the machinery. It can be quite soft around the edges. The staff have known this for years, and we've had one of the best summers, bar none, in terms of solid ground to be able to put heavy machinery in there with minimal damage to the surrounding boom area. So I'd just like to sort of ask this forum if something can be put, and we need action now, not, dare I say it, Mr. Davis made the point, we've followed a similar path and got really nowhere. Nothing has still happened. Things have been tried, but the things that have been tried have failed. And really, unless someone's got a better idea, the grass carp's got to be the way to go.
All right, thank you. Well done on the time as well. I've got a question from John.
Yeah, I'm wondering if you've had time to have a look at the papers for today's board meeting.
No.
And in particular, the action schedule, which is contained on page 26 of the documents that I've got. And it makes reference to a couple of the areas that you have raised today. So
Yeah.
just wondering if you'd...
No, I did try and get a copy of that, but I was told that it wasn't received in time to be uploaded to the website. So no, I haven't seen it.
Okay. Well, it could be worth your while to stay and
wait to hear that.
And
Yeah.
hear that.
Or alternatively, watch the recording a little bit later if you do need to
When-
duck
when
away.
was that report coming through?
Or I'm sure I could send a copy of it as well. So,
10:15 on the schedule, but we
Okay.
don't always stick to.
oh, we will. So,
All right. Hey, thanks for
Okay, thank you.
coming to see us. Right, and I also have John Maud. Good morning.
Morning.
hello, John.
Another day in paradise.
Yeah, sure is.
Okay, bike park. This is purely aimed at the community board. Nothing to do with council workers, talking community board here. What are you here for? What are you doing? What are you accountable for? The bike park has always quietly worked on utilising materials and resources in a practical and meaningful way to benefit the greater community. That's our focus. We've always done that. And unfortunately, I probably should say that I ran out of time because I was going to get a mirror for each of the community board members with their name on and put in front of them. And I'll ask questions later. But we've found that over the 8 years I've been involved, that the community board is totally reactive, not proactive in any shape. There's nothing, we've got no proof to find that they have come up with an idea or how's this going and how about that. It's all the reverse, which to me is not the way to go. And you have to recognise that our community relies on volunteers totally. And for example, we at the bike park in the last 12 months have put in over 8,000 hours of labour just with volunteers, and that's a cost that the individual volunteer puts their hand in the pocket. It's not just turning up and doing work. They all, without exception, all contribute. And I've got to a stage where I think the community board and the council need to start stumping up with some of the costs involved. The main one is toilets. We said, how about food toilets? And I was simply guided to the council when we went through the process of, well, we'll help you apply for a grant. In other words, the council ain't going to pay for nothing. Now, in the 8 years I've been there, 2 lots of volunteers paid for portaloos out of their own pocket. And then when we had the funding, they got paid back. Those toilets have been maintained by Bob's Takeaways for the last 8 years at no cost. Now, to me, the very least the council can do is pay John at Bob's Takeaways for servicing those toilets. We are now at a stage this year where we estimate we're getting between 8,000 and 10,000 people there per annum. So it's significant, and it's a significant part of the community. So to give you an idea, we finance Mercury Bay Area School for predator control programs, which they're doing actively. We're planting 200 native trees and working with Trees for Survival on planting an additional 700 native trees and doing a wetland development. We also provide dog walking facilities which have overlapped with the ban of dogs down here in the summer, which is working out really well. We provide a training area for search and rescue. And we also provide a facility to be used by other organisations for fundraising. So there's a park facility there which is used for fundraising. The other one is we have a community garden which the produce goes to social services there. And I've got Mr. Hewlett here,
Sorry.
who happens to be one of the volunteers, and he painted the road bridge, and it's probably the second coat of paint it's had since, I think, 1957 it was built. But he get no feedback, nothing. There's no thank you, kiss your ass, nothing. And I think it's about time the community board started getting involved.
Right, before you take off, are there any questions of John? Ellie?
Yeah, I'm a little bit blindsided as I've been out for morning teas and had conversations. My question would be around, certainly we've shown our appreciation. Is the problem that you're not getting the right advice on what monies are available to be applied for through council, through our discretionary funds or through our grants program to support you financially?
We've never been advised, ever, other than when we've said we need to it. That's the first time ever.
So Bess, I think you were there, we've been out there a couple of times and with our area manager and had discussions. I am a little bit shocked that there hasn't been the support around you, and I'm not pinpointing it on anyone in particular, to discuss the financial needs that you have. So I'm hearing about this now. A little bit offended by the mirror, looking at the mirror, and because I felt that we had quite a good relationship with the bike park people, but we need to know what a community needs or a community group needs, not guess what you need.
Yeah, I've got a question. I'm a bit missed too. We've had conversations. I've been having phone calls with you. I've been up there, up to the bike park, and we've talked, toilets, and talked other
Nothing's
things.
achieved, is it?
I think
What's been achieved?
I think we can just perhaps thank you for coming to speak to us. I echo some of the sentiments that Delhi made, but perhaps we can take this conversation offline and have a proper financial conversation and have an understanding around exactly what is needed. So I'm going to look to my left and right and ask staff to make sure that they set up a conversation with you, and I'll make sure that I'm there and any other board members that want to be there, and then we can have a conversation and really understand exactly what it is that you're looking for.
Can I just
Thank you. Did you have a question?
I have to put this into a question. Okay. So do you think all our conversations and communication had come to nothing?
Yes.
I think that's what I wanted. Yeah. Thank you. Okay.
Can I just say something?
Sorry, yes. Did you have a question, Caroline?
I do have a question of John. John, are you aware that there has been some workshops, I guess you could call them, for the public to attend to learn about what funding is available and how to go about applying for funding? They were going around the district last year. I'm not sure if they're going to be
We've been to one of those workshops. We have been to one workshop. Yep.
Okay. Was it recommended to you how to go about asking for, say, discretionary funds from the local board? Or was it
No,
more for
it didn't.
funding outside?
Funding outside.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Caroline. Thanks, John. We'll set that meeting up.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody else here for public forum?
Yeah, I didn't say yes.
If you'd like to address the board, you may
On the hot chair, not
come and join us.
Excuse my address. I was going up to the bike park to do some.
$80,000 of voluntary.
It's scrappy, eh?
All right. Welcome, Noel.
Thank you. I had a recent turn of health a few months ago. So I haven't participated in the community as well as I would have liked. But the bike park has been a saviour for me. And I go up there every day for a couple of hours and then go back home for an afternoon nap, which is necessary when you get to my age. But I'd like to speak about an initiative I started up there called Positively Mercury Bay. I got fed up with the amount of negativity in some of our reports. Dare I say the New Zealand Herald is probably the worst. And there's no positivity. We live in paradise on the Mercury Bay area, and so I thought the need of putting in the opportunity for the public generally to make comments was absolutely necessary. We started off with 2 letterboxes in the bike park and also outside my residence. My residence got no replies. The bike park has got hundreds of replies in the 3 months it's been going, and I thank the Informer and the local radio station for their support. But it's all come from the tourist sector, and they have just been over the moon about what the bike park provides for our community. It's run by volunteers, and the volunteers do a magnificent job in keeping the facility going. And I'd just like to say that I don't know if people realise it, but it's probably the hidden secret of our town, and it needs pursuing. But going on the Positively Mercury Bay, I hope to have letterboxes or places they can put their comments around town. Got one at the information centre, hopefully at other motels around the area, so that people can put in positive messages. For heaven's sakes, we've got much negativity, and we live in paradise. So that's all I've got to say.
Thank you, Noel. Before you disappear, just one question from me. So you've had hundreds of replies. What's the plan to share that good positive?
Well, I've had some replies in the Informer. There's been a couple of unbelievable ones where one person put in, how can we save the Kermadec Islands? But, that's a bit, but most, I intend to, once we collect enough information, to regularly put a report in the Informer.
Okay.
And also on the radio station to inform people what has come in and what is needed in public consultation, because I believe that a lot of people don't know what the hell's going on, and they need to be informed.
Thanks for that. Deli, did you have a?
No, that was my question. Thank you.
Any other questions of Noel before he disappears? Thank you so much, and we'll let you get it back out to paradise.
Sorry about the gear.
No, absolutely, no problem at all. Anyone else for public forum? No? Right. May I have a mover and a seconder, please, for our public? Thanks, Bess and John. Thank you. All those in favour?
Aye.
Opposed? There being none, carried. Any late urgent items? None? Any conflicts of interest? Right. So item 1.6, minutes for confirmation. May I have a... Thank you, John. Seconded by Deli. Anyone have any comments? All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. That's carried. Thank you. Now, item 2.1 is the Buffalo Beach Toilet Block Seawall Extension Post-Completion Review on page 13. And I believe we have Amon. Hi, there he is. Good morning.
Let me
Kia ora,
take a
everyone.
deep breath.
Kia ora.
Yes, I'll take the report as read, but I'd probably just highlight a couple of things. I mean, firstly, 17 months is a very long time for a consent to take. There's a number of challenges that the report outlines and reasons why that's taken a long time. There's, I think, in the attachment, there's a brief section on lessons learned. I think that's relevant for going forward. Those 4 kind of lessons are making sure we have a coordinated approach when there's a joint WRC TCDC consenting process. So coordinating the reports and other aspects can be more efficient. Selection of consultants is something that you have to be wary of, getting the right people with the knowledge and they can align their opinions. Staging, I think the staying on top of our consents as well, an organisational thing where consents expire. There's probably a handful that expire next year. There's more the year after. We need to be staying one step ahead of renewing or disposing of consents. And there's processes in place to make sure that happens, and they've been strengthened, but it's an ongoing effort required. There's things like staff changes or even role position changes or realignments that can cause hiccups in that responsibility understanding. So I've probably said a little bit more than I was intending to, but happy to take questions.
Delhi?
Thanks, Seawall, and appreciate that. I quite spectacularly threw my toys out of the cot on at least 3 occasions about this shark bite taking such an inordinate amount of time to be resolved. I've got a couple of questions. Also on page 3 of that report, the dates are wrong. When it goes from 1804 to 2024, it drops down into 2023 twice. I'd like to try and understand why WRC didn't want to cooperate, and perhaps that's a conversation to have offline, but that caused a hell of a delay by not having a joint process. But I'm also really concerned, because people do move around a lot, that handover period when you do have a staff member leave, losing 4 months, losing 6 months, or losing sight of a consent that's about to expire, that handover process has to be more robust. You know, and it's like any role in council. If I drop dead tomorrow, and some people would applaud, if somebody's replacing me, they have to know what that workload is and what is the status of it. So having consents just going, oh crap, it's expired, didn't have eyes on that. Someone should have specific eyes on that sort of thing happening. So thank you for the report. It's answered quite a few questions, but it's also highlighted some absolute failings in systemic failings. So that's my little rant. It's not personally directed at you, Amon, but I think as a public thing that the entire Mercury Bay ward had eyes on, walked past and cycled past. Poor old Dean had a few growls in the ear from me a few times about what the heck was going on. It's like a neon flashing sign of our inability to get something done in a timely fashion. But I do appreciate that by my request, this report has been presented, and thank you.
Councillor Grant?
Thank you. Thanks, Amon, for the report. Personally, how can I position this? I am really, really disappointed in this whole process. I don't believe the report should be accepted as it is, because I think you've failed to include in the report the various times that it was raised in this community board meeting in regard to the progress and asking for updates. And I think that should be formally acknowledged in this, because we are made to look absolutely ridiculous in regard to the time that this has taken for this to be resolved. You've raised the question in regard to WRC and their wish not to undertake a joint processing of the application. It's one thing to put a note to say that they didn't wish to undertake that. The second part is understanding why they didn't want to undertake that. And I think that that is crucial for us to be able to understand it. And if you want an example of what stands out as council inefficiency, this one really is a beacon in Whitianga to what has happened. And I just want to record my personal disappointment as a councillor in regard to the timeframes that this took to be done, and the need for this report to be updated to include the number of times that requests were made through the community board for updates on this, and because I think that's an important part of the process, because it looks as if it was largely ignored.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, John.
Through the chair.
Peter, go for it.
Eamon, my comments are not directed at you at all. My thought on receiving this report was how deeply our council and probably other councils are log-jammed by a myriad of rules and regulations, so nothing ever happens within a realistic time frame. When I look at the consent assessments required, I bear in mind that we are looking at a rock wall, and we are looking at a rock wall that's been in place for how many years, I'm not sure, 15, 20, 25 years, and we're looking at getting a consent for renewal of a structure that's been in place for this period of time, plus another 30 metres of rock wall. In the assessments, I see there has to be assessments on coastal vegetation, and I don't know what that has to do with a rock wall. It has to do with intertidal habitat, meaning shellfish. Again, how does that apply to a rock wall? It applies to natural darkness of sky, and my mind just goes wild when I think about that in relation to a rock wall. You need to have assessments on places or areas that are wild or scenic. Again, we're looking at a rock wall alongside a much-used road in a built-up residential area. I don't see how that becomes wild or scenic. And then the one that really got me as well was an assessment on the sounds and smell of the sea. Come on, this just blows me away. Then in the report, there are 3 pages of diary dates that staff members have spent on this process. And I hate to think of the cost of that to council and also the cost of consultants. All these comments, the only person who seemed to make any sense was the Commissioner, and you report him as saying the actual or potential adverse effects of the proposal on the environment will be or are likely to be minor or less than minor. And that's the way I feel this whole application should have been treated. I look at the length of time it's taken the Gold Coast after their weather cyclone. My daughter over there sent me a video from Surfers Paradise, Broad Beach, and all the way down the Gold Coast there. They've got heavy machinery, trucks, bulldozers, already remedying the damage caused by that storm, and that's within 2 weeks rather than almost 2 years in our case. So this report just blew me away.
Thanks, Peter. Thanks, Eamon. I think there's probably sentiment is shared around the table. You can sense the frustration. I'd like to propose, although we are just receiving this report, that we add a second resolution to include John's suggestion of updating the report to include the times that it was asked from a board level. I know it was asked formally in board meetings, but probably informally as well, networking. So I don't know if those are captured to get updates around the progress of this. So appreciate you putting that report together. I'm sure you can sense the frustration that we have all collectively felt around this process. But if we can get a second resolution in there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Fine.
And is everybody comfortable with that?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm just wondering if we should have a third one, really, which asks now staff to take this report and provide a series of learnings that can be applied to any future instances of this that will take the learnings and avoid the repetition of the delays that we've seen with this one.
Absolutely. And those conversations with key partners like WRC, so that we never have to sit in a dual consenting process like that.
I just wonder if there needs to be a formal debrief with WRC with a representative in that space as to some sort of commitment that doesn't happen again. I still don't understand why they didn't want to cooperate and make it to expedite the process.
And I just want to be clear that before anybody sort of puts a label on this as being a staff operational area, I believe falls into the category of a systemic failure, which the governance team needs to understand better and understand what learnings have been taken so that they can be applied in future.
So the second resolution, have you got some wording for us?
Yeah.
Can you put that up there? That might be easier.
Talking about combining it into, through the chair, you're talking about combining it into one resolution. So notes the board's request, the board is updated to include the request made by the Mercury Bay Community Board, and that the lessons learned are applied to other TCDC.
Well, I think it would go further and ask for a formal debrief session. So that the lessons can learn can be captured to be applied in future, and that debrief to include, if possible, WRC.
Right.
All right.
No, that's okay.
Did we through the chair also capture those dates that were a bit off on page 17 of that report?
No, but we'll make sure we do that.
It goes through, it jumps from 24 back to 23.
Right. So Dean's got some suggested wording here. For the second resolution. Request that staff updates with the requests made by Mercury Bay Community Board.
Could I suggest that
we need to
for the chair that we just take a 5-minute
I was just about to say that. Shall we take a recess
through this
and get this wording right? Amon, you've got your hand up. Did you want to say something?
Yeah, it's just after a bit of clarity on the formal debrief. We could have a debrief with WRC around some of the aspects, and we could include that debrief back into the report. But I'm not sure if that's what was intended by. I'm not quite sure what was intended by a formal debrief.
I'll suggest with that comment, it shows that perhaps we should spend 5 minutes and get our wording right.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to suggest that we take.
Give us 5 minutes, Amon. We'll just get our wording right and then come back and test you with it and see if that answers your question.
Perfect.
Thank you. Right. So I would like to see that the requests spelled out in this resolution. So there's 2 requests.